Welcome guys, I'm HOJ, and in today's video we're going to be doing 5 best of 1 standard ranked ladder games with my Boros Ascension deck. It's getting near the end of the month and I'm trying to hit top 250. Currently we are at 599 Mythic, so we're in shooting range potentially, but yeah, excited. Hopefully I can get there. Really would love to compete in the qualifier weekend next month with sealed Avatar: The Last Airbender, which would just be so exciting. So I love the set, I love drafting it, but in order to get there, we need to qualify. So jumping into the deck, I actually have no changes in the deck since yesterday. I really like where it's at. It's been doing really well. And if you're not familiar with the deck's strategy, it kind of centers around Firebender Ascension, which is an enchantment that gives you a 2/2 red soldier creature token with Firebending 1. And then whenever you attack with a creature that has a triggered ability on attacking, you get a quest counter on Firebender Ascension. Once you have 4 or more quest counters, you can then copy that ability. So this is really powerful with cards that have, for example, Mobilize, like Stadium Headliner, Voice of Victory. It's also great with cards like Anim Pakal. If you attack with Anim Pakal itself, it will trigger it. In addition, the firebending token that it creates also helps trigger it. Hired Claw is another example of a card that helps you trigger this ability. And so I'm trying to kind of create a series of creatures here that can help get Firebender Ascension going. In addition, you have Delney at the top of the curve to help double all of those effects, which is pretty powerful, and also gives a nice little ability to have your creatures that are power 2 or less not be blocked by creatures that with power 3 or greater. So this is really nice, especially if your opponent has like an Ouroboros and like a big, a lot of power on the other side of the board. You can kind of sneak past them. In addition, the deck has a removal suite of 4 copies of Sheltered by Ghosts, 4 copies of Lightning Helix to kind of deal with like the Kona and the Ouroboros on their turn, and 4 copies of Burst Lightning to help out with like Badger Mole Cub and stuff like that. In addition, it also has the 4 copies of Doorkeeper Thrull, which is a really, really powerful effect, which turns off artifacts and creatures entering the battlefield, causing abilities to trigger. So this is really nice. It helps completely shut down the artifact deck. I ended up playing a couple copies of that deck on ladder the other day, and you play this card and they literally just fall over. They can't do anything. Their entire deck does not work, which is pretty cool. It also is great against Reanimator. It's also a way to turn off Authority of the Console. So once this is in play, the Authority of the Console's effect no longer gives life, which is pretty cool. And yeah, just all around a really powerful card we can take advantage of because none of the creatures in this deck have enter the battlefield abilities. In the land, we have 2 copies of Abandoned Air Temple and 2 copies of Restless Bivouac to help kind of give us extra sort of advantage against control decks and help grow our team. And then we have also 1 copy of Suki, Courageous Rescuer, which is really good at pumping our entire team and then replacing creatures once they die to the Mobilize triggers. So if you would like to see all the links, just go to the description. There's a link for the deck list, for all of the win rate statistics, as well as all of my other playlists for best of 1 standard events and all of my other decks. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, consider subscribing. There's a link where you can do that. Or if you want to become a member for as little as 99 cents a month and get early access to my new videos and help support the channel. Yeah, so I really appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and jump in. Yeah, I've just been kind of getting used to the Doorkeeper Thrull and how completely powerful that effect can really be. It also just stops a lot of the come into play effects that the Simic decks and like mono green ramp decks will use. So yeah, here it is in our opener. excited to keep trying it out. Okay, we'll start with Inspiring Vantage, and then up against red mana. This could be a number of different decks, but possibly like Jeskai or 4-color control. I think I'm just going to start here with Hired Claw. I've found that in this iteration of the deck, where I no longer have the Neighborhood Guardians, playing Headliner on 1 is a little bit more of a liability. Okay, so this is the Izzet, lots of spells and lessons deck. And I think we just want to maybe use Doorkeeper Thrull. There's a pretty good chance that they can, yeah, make this, let's see, whenever you cast a non-creature. Okay, this is on cast, so it's going to get pumped here on cast. So this won't be... I don't think we can turn this off with Doorkeeper Thrull. I guess I'm kind of interested, but I don't think it's going to work. I think I want this in play anyways. But yeah, that's still going to get triggered. We've got Restless Bivouac. We could play another Pain Land here. I think we are taking a little bit of damage, so I like just saving life a little bit. But we could also do Sheltered by Ghosts here, which is something that they probably have answers to. I guess at the very least it would reset the Planisphere. But if we just get the token, it's not so bad. Yeah, not sure exactly how I want to play this here. I think I'm just going to go for maybe just one of these two and try to save ourselves a little bit of life here. And then try to set up for Sheltered by Ghosts on the next turn. So we do have the possibility of getting burned out by this deck, so we have to be a little careful. But they do have a lot of lessons. So most of those don't go directly to the face. So I think we could take this hit. Maybe just get like the Doorkeeper Thrull and then Sheltered by Ghosts next turn. We could also make 2 1/1 tokens. This is typically a little bit better later, though. So I think we'll just take the hit. And then we could play another Bivouac here, just to kind of keep our life a little higher. We'll just get rid of the token. But yeah, once this deck starts doing Accumulated Wisdom, it's pretty powerful. Okay, another Sheltered by Ghosts is kind of nice. We could just use it to get the token here. They could, of course, just get back like Accumulated Wisdom and draw a bunch of cards. Or we could activate a Bivouac and start adding counters. I kind of like that as well. And then hold off on the Sheltered by Ghosts for now. think I like adding counters here. Question is if we want to add it to the land, probably to the headliner, just so we don't have to have the mana investiture. And we have a little bit of removal here. We might have to eventually use this to sack to get rid of another creature, but I think for now, keeping it as a 2/2 and starting to grow it is kind of nice. Okay, and they natural drew an accumulated wisdom, which is really good. Here we just want to Shelter by Ghost the Swarm, because that's going to hit pretty hard. Get a little bit of life back while they're tapped out. Then I think we'll just save this for 1/1 tokens. Although I have not played against this deck very much, so I'm not super sure kind of how to navigate this match. They could use like Storm Chaser's talent to like pick up Boomerang Basics or another burn spell. It's probably what they're gonna do. But they will need another land to kind of get that going. So that's at least kind of nice. I guess they could also get rid of the Shelter by Ghost. That works too. Oh, that's pretty good. That's enough right there off the Dragonfly Swarm. And unfortunately, we don't have enough mana to deal with that. Yeah, the extra 3 cards that they drew with Accumulated Wisdom is pretty beating. All right. Yeah. Maybe I could have navigated that game a little bit better. Not exactly sure. But yeah, put it in the comments if you see a different line of play. There are some matches where the Doorkeeper Thrull is not going to be as impactful. But in the matches where it shines, it's really, really good. And I think there's enough matches where it is quite good that it's worth keeping in the deck. I've been pretty happy with it, at least. All right, opening hand looks nice. Well, we don't have white mana. It's the only issue. So I think there is... We run 22 sources. So there's going to be... I think another 19 potential lands we could draw here. We will need to draw out of it. We can do something on turn 1 and turn 2. But we might not really have a game if we don't actually have access to white mana here. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to throw this back. Yeah, this looks a lot better. And then here, we only have 3 3-drops in the entire deck, so I think we can pretty safely throw back a land and just draw some extra land as needed. But I did lower the curve quite a bit when I added the Doorkeeper Thrulls. and took out the Sanguine Evangelists, which are also excellent in this deck. Just a little bit of a different, just kind of a little bit of a different plan. They're kind of a non-bow with the Doorkeeper Thrull, but they are quite good. Doorkeeper Thrull against this deck is pretty funny, though. Now we can just respond, and that doesn't do anything. It's always nice having a backup as well. All right, so here I think we just want to start setting up with Voice of Victory. Yeah, they can use the Awaken Honored Dead to get rid of our Doorkeeper Thrull, but we have another one in hand, thankfully. So we'll just kind of save that for next turn if they try to go off. I suppose we could have also waited there because they don't have anything in the yard, so, but they do have a chance of like drawing into it right now. If one of these was like Bringer, that would have been a problem. But here we can just get a little bit more value. And now we just want to try to push damage. Try to close this game out as soon as possible. Do we want Sheltered by Ghosts? We don't want this coming back. Oh, you know what? Oh god, I think we should have taken this. We can still do it after combat, but I guess we could have done one extra point of damage here. So I think I'll save Lightning Helix here. For their turn, and then now I think we just want to put this probably on our Doorkeeper Thrull. Yeah, we do actually want to get rid of this because they can discard a card to return their other copy of this. If they have removal, we could kind of be in a little bit of trouble here. Okay. Yeah, that's not going to have any effect, but it will be a blocker. We could save Helix if they try to block like you know, one of the 1/1s. We could also use Frontline Rush to kill it. I think I'm just going to hold this for now. Oh, we can also just use Burst Lightning. That works. But yeah, their deck basically doesn't function without, or with Doorkeeper Thrull in play. And now we can pump +4/+4 and then use the Helix to get the rest of the way. And that'll do it. Overall, I think I like the change because just bringing the deck sort of lower to the ground is really nice on the mana. There were several keeps in like previous versions of the deck where you just have like 6 or 7 3-drops in your hand. You wouldn't be able to do anything. So I think that's going to be overall a plus. Okay, opening hand looks great. And just being able to function on 2 land is really nice. So this could be like the new Dimir, like Fear of Isolation deck. It just has a bunch of enchantments. I think we want Voice of Victory. Like we can go for the Ascension here, but then they kind of get a choice if they want to counter that or kill a creature. I think we just attack first and then try to lay Voice of Victory. Yeah, this is definitely that deck. So Voice is nice because it kind of stops stuff on our turn. They could, of course, just like Fear of Isolation, or if it's Esper, use Pixie to get it back and just kill this on their main phase. But then we do get to go for Anim Pakal. Also, since we plan to Anim Pakal next turn, might be nice to start firebending. I guess I'm going to go with Voice just because if it does survive to our turn, just knowing full well we can safely play Anim Pakal is pretty nice. Yeah, and they're just going to kill it. They have a lot of removal here. Okay, so it is Esper, so they will have access to Pixie. We might want to... I guess we can play this tapped here. I don't think we want to run Anim Pakal out without like the token in front of it. Even though it does open us up to like counterplay here, I think it's in a better use of mana. Just want to be a little careful with that. Because I know some versions of this deck run like non-targeting sacrifice effects. You want to have extra creatures. Yeah, like Momentum Breaker, for example. But yeah, at this point, we're just going to run it out. Unfortunately, this deck is pretty well suited to deal with all of our creatures, and we don't have that many. There's like 26 to 27 total creatures in the deck. We do have the man lands, which brings it up to about 28, but yeah, there's the Kirin, unfortunately. Which we kind of knew was coming. That would have been nice a little while ago. Oh well. I think we also want to kill this Kirin while they're tapped out so they can't like recur Kirins. Oh, that's really good. It's pretty nasty. Yeah, we need a little bit more action here. It's not a great... Like, Sheltered by Ghosts is so bad in this matchup. I suppose we could start working on Airbender Ascension, but then it airbends a guy on the way back. So maybe we just hold it. Yeah, I guess we can try to get Riddler, but like I feel like we're just gonna get blown out by, you know, another momentum breaker or nowhere to run. Like it's just, it's not looking good. But I mean, we got to try to get past, so I think we're gonna go for it. The real answer is just we're in a really bad position here. Oh, you know what? I should have played this in response to them. I keep forgetting. I'm still getting used to Doorkeeper Thrull. Could have prevented a card draw there. Yeah, hopefully you guys can see my mistakes and learn from them, not make them. Yeah, I guess they're not getting in, at least for the moment, so we'll just try to draw something here. But it looks pretty rough at the moment. Excuse me. Notably, the enchantments still have their effect when they come in, so it doesn't stop nowhere to run. Okay, there's voice. Can try to start building up like a little bit of a team here. But we're gonna need a lot to try to get through this. And we've got about 4 turns. Okay, there's a Bivouac. Yeah, this deck is really good though, especially with Boomerang Basics. Like they have so much advantage. This is one that I might want to try, but I think like the Boros deck is what I'm most comfortable with right now. I've just done a lot of games with, and I do like where it's at. But there are some tough matchups, kind of like this one. I guess it just depends like how much popularity that this deck is gonna come into. But this is nice, like we're stopping, you know, I think Doorkeeper Thrull is pretty good. They can still use the activated ability though to flip it. Okay, Shelter by Ghost is nice. It doesn't really do too much here. But we could at least get rid of their blocker. They can still activate Anchorage, which is a little rough. So we probably would put it on like maybe the Goblin token or something. But we need to gain life, so I guess we could put it on Doorkeeper Thrull, or one of them, to give it 2 power, and then use the Bivouac to give it 3 power. And I just kind of get in with everything here, and they can get something back. This is just, it's bad is the real answer. Yeah. I guess we could also put it here on like the other Goblin token, which isn't the worst. But there's like so much they could have here. Sure. I don't really think we can even draw out of this here, but I'll give it maybe like another turn or so. But we're pretty dead at the moment. All right, that's gonna do it. Yeah, so some decks, like, they kind of just get a lot of incremental advantage. Can definitely play around this deck. But there are a number of matches where you just like play Doorkeeper Thrull and their deck falls apart, which is kind of funny. Especially the Artifacts deck. Like, I don't think they have a single card that interacts other than like maybe one copy of No More Lies. All right, let's lead out here with Abandoned Air Temple, since this will come into play tapped. Okay, another Reanimator deck. Here we go. Now, we don't have to use this on 2, but it is kind of nice sometimes, because they usually try to go for like Greeter or something. We don't necessarily have to do this now. We can just kind of get things going with Voice of Victory. Also, it's nice to hold it a little bit so they don't have like the removal for it on 3. I think I'm just going to go for Voice of Victory here. Let's just go for Suki. Still got one more turn before they can try to go off. Yeah, I love Suki in this deck. Just does so much work, just pumping everything that's coming into play. Assume they kill Suki here. Yep. Here we'll hold up Doorkeeper Thrull and then just go for Firebender Ascension. The other thing that I like about Doorkeeper Thrull is that you can use the firebending mana to play it, because it does have flash. So that's kind of a nice little interaction. But he kind of has to go for it here if he's got the mana. Sure. Now we can just Helix, and then like Delney next turn. It doesn't really matter. We got him. So yeah, got a ways to go, but I do like this deck. I think that there are certainly good matchups and bad matchups. Yeah, I think that was 5 games. But like you have a lot of options of like making a couple minor shifts and changes. Like if you want to have more 3-drops, like Sanguine Evangelist is fantastic at the top of the curve, but it is kind of a non-bow with Doorkeeper Thrull. And Doorkeeper Thrull, as you can see, and like in the matchups where it's good, it's really, really good. Like no other card can replace it against like Jeskai artifacts. Like you literally, you play this, their deck does not work. You know, and all the control decks that have Authority of the Consuls were like, you know, and Pinnacle Starcage, where it just doesn't work against you, is fantastic. So how to combat some of those like demure like value decks? You know, unfortunately, I mean, if you see like that a lot in your meta, you might potentially shift back to like the Sanguine Evangelist version, just because it does give you a lot of value for one card. It's a possibility. But yeah, there's lots of different options. Let's take a look at the stats. All right, so overall the deck is 54% win rate, 73% on the play, 41% on the draw, 61 wins and 52 losses. And it's been through many, many versions here, 28 versions. So it looks like it recently, like a day ago, just went 78% win rate, 7-2. I guess most recently here it went 2-2. Oh, you know what? I guess we didn't end up playing 5 games. We just did 4 games. So, but yeah, you know, overall, I really do like this deck, and it, you know, can definitely get you to Mythic. I'm quite sure of that. So, let me know what you guys are doing, kind of in your journeys to try to make top 250 in this next day and a half here. You might be seeing this a little bit later, but anyways, thank you guys so much again for watching. I appreciate you, and we'll see you in the next one.